couple of minutes, Kevin?
Yeah, I promised this morning, remember? So, happy to.
I
hope I'm not in Tom's shot, am I?
What's the importance of the big, beautiful bill getting passed?
Well, I think that, we're almost to the finish line. I think that we expect that the Senate bill will pass tonight, and then the House will be able to give it to the president to sign by the 4th of July. That's always been his objective, and we're highly optimistic that we're going to pull that off.
Director Hassett, the president, has been saying that he is going to set a tariff rate on Japan. He just posted that on his social.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what that rate is?
President Trump is going to finalize the frameworks that we've negotiated with a whole bunch of countries after we get the big, beautiful bill passed. So I would expect you'll see a lot more news about that, after the bill passes.
After 4th of July, maybe?
Yeah.
What's the status of trade talks with Australia? I know you're close to the ambassador. Have they been making progress, or have they stalled?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the individual discussions, but I know that Jameson Greer and Howard Lutnick and Scott Bessent have been leading the trade negotiations with different countries, and that they're working 24/7 to get as many frameworks finalized as soon as possible.
I think the Australia deal will be done by July 9th.
That you'll have to talk to Jameson Greer about that. Sure.
On the big, beautiful bill, Republicans voted this morning to move forward with current policy baseline in terms of scoring the bill, which enables them not to count the $3.8 trillion cost of extending the tax cuts. Are you concerned at all that Democrats might try to choose a similar procedural maneuver later on and not count in expensive policies that they support?
Well, I think that what Republicans have been trying to get forever and ever is symmetry, so that things like if spending goes into a baseline, then the baseline is there forever. And so the point is that the baseline should be symmetric. So however we treat taxes is how we should treat spending. And that's why I think there's been so much support in the Senate for this policy change. And I'm going to go around, I promise.
Has the president ruled out another 90-day pause? Apologies if it's been asked before, but has he ruled that out definitively after the July 9th deadline? Is that just locked in what tariff rates are going to be?
I don't have a comment on that right now.
It was suggested last week that we saw with China, the agreement was a de-escalation to the back and forth between both countries. Can you speak to that? And do you consider that still going on? Are we still?
We're very pleased with the progress we've been making with China, and we're very pleased to see how quickly the licenses that we discussed are starting to be granted to our firms, and we haven't seen disruptions that could have happened had China not come to the table.
Has the president ended talks with Japan?
Excuse me?
Has the president ended trade talks with Japan?
I'm not familiar with them. Nothing is over.
He just posted on Tuesday.
I know what he just posted, but there'll still be discussions right up to the end. Even if we get a framework, then there's still going to be things to finalize.
On China, given the fact that some Chinese companies are still buying the Iranian oil, is that fact that China has not stopped buying Iranian oil despite the White House sanctions is going to affect trade talks with China?
I'm not going to go into China and Iranian oil right now. Sorry.
Sure.
And this lady just said, I said I would move from left to right, but now she's not. I just promised I would go this way, so I'm trying to be systematic.
Sure.
So yeah.
I saw that you confirmed this morning that the U.S. will resume trade talks with Canada. Does it mean that the president will not impose tariffs unilaterally on Canada anymore as previously warned?
We've made lots of progress in our discussions with Canada. I met with the president at the G7 meeting up in Canada and spoke at length about trade with the Prime Minister, and we're looking forward to more talks, I think. Yeah.
With the new trade deal with China, India, and the big bill coming from this week, have there been any more discussions about the Internal Revenue Service and possibly abolishing the income tax for certain Americans?
I think right now we're focused on the big, beautiful bill and really excited to see that it's going to get passed by the 4th. And then when it does pass, right, we're going to see an explosion in revenue because the CPO score says it's only 1.8% growth delivered by the bill. We're highly confident it'll be at least 3% growth, maybe even more. And so, yeah, the Internal Revenue Service is going to have a lot of regulations to write and a lot of revenue to collect. I'll take one last question. I said I would go this way.
To any House Republicans who may still be on the fence considering voting no on what they Wednesday or Thursday, what would your final pitch to them be?
That if you look at this bill, it's the biggest spending cut in history. It's the biggest tax cut in history. If we don't pass the bill, then we're going to go almost immediately into a recession. It also secures the border and achieves all sorts of objectives that the president talked about on the campaign. And so I would counsel people very much against voting against the bill. And I don't expect that there are going to be many people who do that because the bill makes so much sense. So thank you guys so much for your attention.
Thank
Yeah.
you.